tragedies that occurred after that war. Now that military operations have wound down in Iraq and we're leaving Afghanistan, how do we ensure that we don't lose all that we've learned? You'll hear it, right? You hear that we only ought to focus on kinetic operations or conventional warfighting. It was sobering. My department puts on a senior conference every year. That the first senior conference in 1963 was entitled New Nations and Their Internal Defense. It was if we could have put the year 2014 on that conference sheet. Finally, in today's fiscal environment, as you know, there's a call to reduce the Army further. We can discuss this maybe after coffee. But in important ways, the current situation in the Ukraine highlights the fact that our nation needs an army. Whether a sufficient land force provides deterrence, credibility for our diplomatic efforts, or fighting capability, we cannot assume that there will not be war. I'm struck that while there are dollars to be saved when we drastically draw down an army, the cost is deferred, and it's on the backs of our young soldiers and officers who will bear that cost if we allow for a hollowed army. To be sure, there are smart cost savings to be had, but I hope we don't just measure costs in terms of the dollar. The events in the Ukraine also underscore why we have a liberal arts and science curriculum here at West Point that inculcates habits of mind so that our graduates learn how to ask the right questions, whether they face traditional threats or challenges, everything from oil spills to terrorism to crises of legitimacy, immense human insecurities, or both, or all. General McChrystal, in a recent Foreign Affairs piece, observed, in Iraq, when we first started asking the question, it was, where is the enemy? When we got smarter, we started to ask, who is the enemy? And then we asked, what is the enemy doing or trying to do? And it wasn't until we got further along that we finally asked, why are they the enemy? As Secretary Gates explained at a talk at West Point, we cannot expect our officers to succeed in this environment unless we provide them with the right experiences, education, and incentives. There's too much at stake to do any less. So how do we do this? How do we prepare leaders who are unafraid to stretch outside their comfort zone intellectually, physically, culturally, unafraid to form new teams of diverse perspectives, and in times of immense change, it's even more important than ever that we embrace the values that define us, define the core of who we are, because it's those values that define us that will also guide us. Downsizing an army, we want to make sure that we shape that army thoughtfully, is our OEMA has produced several studies on talent management to make sure that we recruit, employ, develop, and retain the talent that we need. They've also done that at the branching level so that when cadets are now putting in their branch choices, it's based on talent and not strictly OML. They've done some senior officer succession, which is getting some legs now in terms of how do we grow field flag level officers. Our CTC has done some great work on the Haqqani network. In fact, the book that just came out, all ISAF officers now have to read it as part of their development. We've done a lot of work on I don't know if you get the CTC Sentinel, it's online. We've had a couple of special issues on Africa, in Syria, and our CTC is engaged in developing folks from the special ops community through the interagency and several other organizations. It is critical, as you can imagine, that we bring the best and the brightest to West Point in terms of Forbes ranked us #1, public college, and U.S. News and World Report ranks us #2, public liberal arts, and #3, best undergraduate engineering college. And cadets still win more than their share of postgraduate scholarships. This past year really was a banner year. We run the scholarship program out of the department on behalf of the academy. We've had 2 Rhodes, 2 Marshalls, so far 2 Truman finalists, 7 Rotary, 2 Fulbright finalists, and 2 Naval Postgraduate finalists so far, still coming in. Every graduate must complete the core curriculum that covers the spectrum of the liberal arts and engineering, from mechanical engineering to computer science to American history. I'm sure you all remember. We've had some nice flashbacks around the table about some of that. We had some very interesting courses, and I want to share with you one of them, that combine the classroom with experiences. And it just so happens this year we're going to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the course that we, actually a junior faculty member created called Winning the Peace. It combines both classroom learning and experiential learning. She actually wanted to create a course that provided the intellectual tools, how to think about winning the peace. And the conference that put this together, we had, it was interdisciplinary, we had combat vets, we had folks from the UN, we had folks from NGOs, really hammer out a syllabus. They didn't come out of the room until they were done. And when we were looking for a place to really exercise, have a capstone exercise, I'm from just outside New York City, so of course I just immediately thought, oh, we can go to New York City. And I got a call from Detective Baggiano, who's from Jersey City. And he said, bring them down here, we'll take care of you. So I'm like, okay, we'll try this. And for those of you who are familiar with Jersey City, it's a very rich, diverse neighborhood around Journal Square. A lot of immigrants from Egypt. We have a Muslim community, Coptic Christian, Gospel, Dutch Presbyterian, Jewish synagogues, gospel churches, etc. And actually, it's been one of these, it keeps on giving, quite frankly, this course, because everyone learns from one another. And the fact endowed this tremendous program will be General McCaffrey. We had Tom Brokaw last time and Henry Kissinger the previous year, so it's been a great, great opportunity. In fact, this past semester, I had a wonderful opportunity to interview in front of the International Relations and American Politics cadets, Brent Scowcroft, and that was just a tremendous thrill for us all. I also want to let you know our academic teams are nationally ranked. Model UN and debate consistently beat Navy. In fact, the superintendent has this, it's a wonderful tradition. Whenever a team beats Navy, he invites the team over for ice cream. And the debate team went over for ice cream. It was a very important thing. In fact, the Model UN team is now in Brussels as we speak, competing for the World Championship. So we'll see if they bring home a World Championship. If you haven't been to West Point in a while, there's a beautiful new library. And actually, the cadets go there. Cadets are still told to be happy in the halls of Arvin Gym. Moreover, the Army remains a contact sport in which physical strength and endurance are critical. Fortunately, our cadets are stronger and faster than we were. I think at our age, a lot stronger and faster than we are now. They still box, they swim, they tumble, and they earn high zeros. They run the indoor obstacle course. In fact, it's now a graduation requirement to pass the indoor obstacle course either in your junior or Cal or first year, and you take at least 2 PT tests a year. And the whole Arvin Gym, for those of you who haven't been there, it's been under renovation. It was all done around the indoor obstacle course, so nothing would be disturbed, to include the old dust, right?
Yes. Sweat.
Just want to make sure that's all there. I will tell you also, the new pool has like a new wave pool. So if it wasn't scary enough going in there with all your combat gear, now there's waves and smoke and dark and light, so it's very strange. The athletic competition remains a cornerstone in our physical development program, and I'm proud to report the progress in both our clubs and intercollegiate teams. We have 21 competitive teams. Our club program is probably the best in the nation. We have a lot of great athletes in the Corps of Cadets, and these programs give them opportunities to excel in their chosen sport. 8 national championships, 80% wins over Navy.
Not the big one.
We also have, as you might imagine, a lot of service clubs, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Scouts, Special Olympics. Our club teams are very successful on and off the court and field. And we're also very fortunate to have such great support, and I know from our... It's going to be a great year. Tremendous. He's serious. He's energetic. He is a disciplinarian. I know he went through that locker room, and if anybody had their locker out of sort, they knew it. And he's going to be a tremendous, tremendous asset. And he's all about winning, but he also understands the importance of the mission, and that comes first, and that we're all here for a common purpose. I should have mentioned I'm a little bit biased because my son was the left tackle during the last, not this past year, but of course while he was there. And those are tremendous young men who I know will do great things on the field and will make us proud. So I have great confidence as we move forward, especially in the football program. I also want to just, before I leave that point, as the faculty athletic rep, I do see all the exit interviews of all athletes. Okay, so as they leave, they get interviewed by all their ORs, and I get to see all those reports, and I will tell you, and at the end of the day, this is what it really amounts to, that their most impactful leader development experience occurs on the fields, occurs on the courts, etc. And that is such an important program. The fact that we're Division I think the fact that we go out and get the best and the brightest across all pillars is a wonderful thing. And so, assault programmed, I had a flashback, right, this thing called SHARP. So in 1978, Gerald Bennett, remember, the class of '82, the third class with women, reported to West Point. And as I had a chance to reflect on the past 36 years of my time as a cadet and Army officer, it seemed we had gone back to the future as we now turn to address how to implement the decision to open up all combat arms to women. When people ask me about the Army, my response is that the Army is all about people. If you like working about people, we talked a little bit about this earlier with the new, we have our newest new cadets who will report this summer. But if you like working with people, you'll enjoy the Army. And specifically, the Academy embraces this people-centric focus as the premier leader development institution. Leader development primarily occurs through education, and West Point has the additional responsibility as an institution of higher learning to ensure a healthy learning environment. Recently, as the emergence of social media in the midst, I think, and sometimes a very sexually charged pop culture. Back in 1978, people could hold a conversation without it being shared with who knows how many people. It's hard to learn when thousands of social media onlookers who may not even know the context of a conversation. People need to learn from their mistakes. It's not the mistake per se, it's what the results from it that counts. We bring in members of the Corps from all walks of life, from all over the country and from all over the world. Not everyone will come in with the same set of values. This is why USME is a leader development institution designed to inculcate values. To do so, we have to set conditions that encourage frank and open discussion. And the superintendent has done so much in just a short amount of time while he's been there to truly encourage dialogue, what we're calling this middle ground. Every West Point graduate leaves the academy with a genuine appreciation for the Army's values, and it is that appreciation that makes them leaders of character. As I hear from lieutenants in the field, a common remark is the importance of moral ethical grounding they received at West Point and how that has helped them on a daily basis, whether it was while they were in Iraq, Afghanistan, or anywhere else they've served. From our day when new cadets first learned the Cadet Honor Code to graduation day when they take the oath of office, cadets are immersed in an environment where the hard right always takes precedence over the easier wrong. You would be proud of the integrity, selflessness, and courage our cadets show on a daily basis. And these values, of course, carry over into the military pillar. Military preparation does begin on our day, when more than 1,000 of America's best and brightest young men and women arrive at the academy ready to meet the challenge. Well, to meet these complex challenges head on, to secure our most vital interests and mutual interests, and when necessary, intervene to stop and prevent the unthinkable. Nelson Mandela said upon reflecting on his journey of freedom, "I have walked that long road to freedom. I've tried not to falter. I've made missteps along the way. But I've discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are more hills to climb. I've taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom come responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk has not ended." I'm honored to be here this evening with you to enjoy a moment of reflection and rest here before we continue the journey, not to be deterred by recurring hills, but rather to be inspired by them. Thank you for all that you do. One of the greatest assets our country has is the mutual trust and respect between the military and the society it serves. And I salute you for your continued interest and support of our cherished alma mater that develops and educates the future leaders of our nation. And I salute the young men and women at West Point. Beat Navy.
Go Army.